We've been hearing them the whole time, but I haven't been able to get looks, so it was nice to see one of those.
The state of Minnesota is home to some of the most beautiful and scenic forests in the country. Bordering Canada, the land of 10,000 lakes is a dream destination for anyone looking to escape the outside world and immerse themselves in nature. We went on a 3-day camping trip into the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness, and of course, we were interested to see what bird species we could find in the beautiful forests of northern Minnesota. After a long road trip along Lake Superior, a stop at a ranger station, and a paddle out to our campsite, we eventually settled in and started enjoying one of Minnesota's many lakes situated in the middle of the woods.
Hey everybody, Derek here from Badgerland Birding. Today Ryan and I are canoeing in Minnesota in a boreal forest. So we're going to be looking for some cool boreal forest species and really anything else we can find out in the water. Very peaceful, very serene, and excited to go out and see what we can find today.
Having some kind of watercraft is the only way to travel quickly in these areas with dense forest and rough terrain. For us, the canoe allowed us a lot of freedom to move about and get views of species we may not have seen from camp. With the wind creating some chop on the water our first day out, we stayed around the bays and inlets. Fortunately, we were able to find one of the signature species of Minnesota, the common loon. We even got to see one with a chick. The common loon is the state bird of Minnesota. In breeding plumage, they have a black and white checkered back, white underside, black head and neck with a white necklace. In non-breeding plumage, they are grayish-black with a white underside and still show remnants of the white necklace. Common loons feed mostly on fish, which they catch by diving for them. These birds breed in northern lakes with clear water, and prefer places with a lot of water surface area, as well as islands and cover to raise their chicks. We saw many loons out on the lake, frequently diving, and sometimes popping up a significant distance away. We continued paddling around the lake, scanning the tree line for birds. Eventually, we arrived at a place where we heard a lot of chirping coming from the conifers.
We're here in kind of a secluded bay area. It was a little bit windier out there, so we came to this section and we heard a lot of bird calls. One of the most common calls we've been hearing is the boreal chickadee call, but they've been really hard to see. They kind of like to stay tucked away. They haven't seemed to really come out in the open much, but we can hear them. Some of the warblers will come out into the open, so it's been cool to see them, but would love to get a better view of some of these boreal chickadees.
While we never did get clear looks at boreal chickadees this trip, we did see a few different warbler species in this particular bay. In addition to birds, many different animals call these northern lakes home, including a reptile species that we were fortunate enough to get up close and personal with. So here we have a painted turtle, and you don't normally see a ton of them on this particular lake because there's a lot of deep water, but we're in a little inlet, so there's some vegetation, some good places for him to bask. So yeah, beautiful coloration on this guy. It has the orangey by the face and then the yellow, and he is not happy that he was captured.
And flat stomach on the bottom, so I think it would be a male.
Yeah, very flat. Usually the females will be a little bit more ridged because they have to carry eggs. Hey buddy, you ready to get let go? Be on your way. There he goes. After a lot more paddling around and exploring the lake, we headed back to camp with the sun setting over the northern forest. The next day, we were up bright and early to take in the chorus of morning bird calls.
Just had a red-eyed vireo here at camp. We've been hearing them the whole time, but I haven't been able to get looks, so it was nice to see one of those.
These forests are a really important place for a lot of breeding birds, especially warblers. So around the campsite we've had a lot of them calling already, including magnolia warbler, and then one that we've had a lot of encounters with is the American redstart. The American redstart is a colorful warbler species, with males having a black head, chest, back, wings, and tail, with a white underside. They have bright orange on the sides, wings, and tail. females look drastically different with a gray head, a darker brownish yellow back, and yellow on the sides, wings, and tail. American redstarts winter in northern South America, Central America, and parts of Mexico. They move into the continental United States in spring and breed in much of the eastern US and Canada. American redstarts feed primarily on different insect species and can be found in many different types of wooded habitats. These warblers were certainly breeding in this location, as we saw several young redstarts around the camp. On this day, we got the chance to see many different northern animal species. Several red squirrels were around the camp, and in other locations we saw a wood frog, an amphibian at home in boreal forests. We were pleased to see an American beaver pass by, as well as an iconic North American bird.
We just had a flyover bald eagle. We've seen a couple different bald eagles up here, some juveniles, some adults. Always very majestic when you see them, especially when they just kind of fly over the water. I always hope they're going to come down and catch fish. We haven't seen it today, but hopefully maybe we'll see it later in the day.
At the end of the second day, we had seen many interesting animals by simply exploring. But on day 3, we decided to turn up our efforts to see if we could find anything we hadn't seen yet. We woke up to a lake that was so still it looked like glass. From camp, we spotted a red-breasted nuthatch, a black-capped chickadee, and more of the same warbler species we had already seen. When we paddled out onto the water, we heard the call of a small falcon species that breeds in the north.
Found what we think is a family of merlins, so we're going to go see if we can get a closer look at them. They're calling up a storm.
We followed the calls until we got to the opposite shoreline and could get a better view of the merlins flying around and perching. We noticed that it appeared the merlins were staying close to a nest, meaning this was most likely a breeding pair, either about to start raising chicks or in the middle of the process. And this is certainly a place where merlins do breed, so they are a species that will nest in the northern United States. So really cool to see them in a habitat where they're actually going to be breeding or may already have chicks. The merlin is a small falcon with a slate gray back and head, brown barred chest, banded tail, and a white eyebrow stripe. This species can be found in northern South America, Central America, Mexico, the southern United States, and the western United States in winter. In spring, they migrate, covering the rest of the continental United States and moving into the most northern portions of the US and Canada. Merlins eat a wide variety of bird species, including shorebirds and waxwings, but they will also eat bats, insects, and mammals. Merlins can be found in a variety of different habitats, including woods, tundras, and even more urban environments. When nesting, merlins don't make their own nest, but commonly use old nests built by larger bird species. Seeing these merlins has been so awesome. They're a species that can sometimes be hard to find, and you just kind of have to stumble upon them. But in this area where they're breeding, it's especially cool to just see them going about their business and hopefully having a successful nesting. After spending some time with the merlins, we continued paddling around the edge of the forest. We found a few different duck species, including common mergansers and some nice looks at a hooded merganser. We also got our best looks yet of the iconic bald eagle. Here we have the national bird of the United States, the bald eagle, and it certainly is a very majestic species. It's sitting on the top of a dead tree, one of the tallest ones on this little island it's on, just surveying the entire landscape, probably looking for a fish to go down and grab at some point, but it's really special to see a bird like that in this amazing pristine wilderness. The adult bald eagle is an unmistakable raptor species. They have a brown body with a white head and tail. In flight, they look quite flat, as opposed to turkey vultures and other soaring species that sport a V-shaped wing pattern, known as a dihedral. Juvenile bald eagles don't look quite as distinctive, with varying degrees of mottled white mixed in with brown. Bald eagles winter in most of the southern United States and northern Mexico. They migrate north into Canada and some of the Great Lakes states, including Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. There are also areas where bald eagles live year-round, most of which are around coastlines, rivers, or other bodies of water. Bald eagles eat primarily fish, but will also consume amphibians, mammals, reptiles, and carrion. In fact, bald eagles can often be seen around landfills, searching for scraps, or roadside looking for roadkill, two places one wouldn't expect to see such a majestic bird. We were excited to finally get nice views of an adult bald eagle in its breeding habitat, even if they did come from a shaky canoe. We ended the trip feeling pleased with the birds we found in the untamed wilderness of the Minnesota boundary waters. There is something special about seeing birds where they are nesting and raising the next generation of their species. There is also something special about the boreal forests of Minnesota and Canada. The same animals have been living in these areas for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and it's truly amazing to be able to catch a glimpse of them in a place that almost feels timeless. We are eager to return to the northern forests and see if we can find any more interesting species. But until then, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Badgerland Birding.